Hey, it's me again. Thank you for coming back to another episode of Reminiscing with ReNEE. So today I will be talking about forgiveness, and my title is Forgiveness Heals. First of all, let me start by saying I was the hardest person to forgive somebody. I know. It don't seem right. It don't seem like it would be me, right? Definitely me. Holding grudges. Definitely me. Forgiveness is a very important topic. It's something that we all struggle with. Things that we hold on to, or when people do us wrong. So I just wanted to go over the 5 steps that I've taken over the years to try to help me cope and forgive others who've done things to me. So in today's video, I wanted to start off with a scripture. This scripture is very inspiring to me, and it's from Psalms 86:5, and it says, "For you, O Lord, are good and forgiving, abounding in steadfast love for all who call on you." And this is just a scripture that I try to keep in mind, especially when I was working hard to try to forgive people for certain things that they've done. So I always go back to the Lord, and I always go back to how he forgives and how things were done to Jesus, and he was able to still stand in the gaps for us. He was still able to step in for our forgiveness. So I know I can't be the only one who struggled with forgiveness. I can just think back to times where someone had said things about me that was incorrect, that was not true. I've had times where, someone taking things from me and then came around me later as if they didn't take it. And I will be honest, like in the past, there was times that I was like, no, like I'm not forgiving that person. Like I'm not letting it go. However, over the years, I realized that this person living their life. This situation is dead to them, and I'm over here worried about what was going on way back when. I learned that forgiveness is not about the other person, but it's about me, and it's about my growth. Not even just spiritually, but just my personal growth within myself. So it took some time before I finally was able to put together some pieces to help me cope with moving past certain situations and things and being able to forgive other people. The first one that I want to share with you guys is step 1 is acknowledgement. So it's okay to acknowledge that you were hurt. Sometimes I feel like we try to be tough, we try to be hard. I don't care, ain't nobody worrying about this person, this, that, and the third. But to be honest, your little feelings be hurt a little bit. And for me, acknowledgement was definitely a key component. So I would suggest definitely just to acknowledge the fact that you've been hurt. Point out what your feelings were in reference to that situation. It's funny too, because I think about when there's times where I disagree with somebody and say we have a strong disagreement about something, and we go back and forth about it, and we never really get to the medium of agreeance. In the past, that would kind of get to me. Like after a while, I'll be like, well, we see differently. We're on different views. And I won't, at the time, I didn't feel like that was like, me being unforgiving. But I was. Like I would hold that grudge and I would just keep it. And I would be like, nope, I'm okay. So over time, that was even something else that I had to work on and deal with when it came to forgiveness. So a lot of times we don't want to point out the fact that we may have been wrong about something. Even if you're not necessarily wrong, but the way you approached the situation was dead wrong. Like you was way off. And hey, I'm going to point out what part I play in this situation. It just kind of puts some ownership on you as the individual, a part of the situation, and you can start to work towards that direction of forgiving. The second thing that I had in mind when it comes to forgiveness is living in the present. Yes, girl. Pat me 5. So far too often, far too many of us live in the past. And a lot of times that past just holds you bondage, just squeezes you tight. You're stuck in it. So this is the reason why every time the situation come up or anything that's similar to the situation, you reliving it. So one thing that I've learned to do and to try my hardest to do is just live for the future in the present moment. If it's something that already happened, it's there. It happened. Trying to move forward, trying to move in a better direction. Again, still looking at my first point that I gave in reference to reflecting on how these things made you feel. Yes, but at the same time, still trying to move forward in life. The third thing that helped me was to really work on trying not to hold grudges. I know it's easier said than done, but when you holding on so tight to something, that thing has you in jail. It has you buckled down where you can't move because you holding on so tight to it. So the thing I've learned to do was just to try and loosen up that yoke a little bit, not to allow it to just be so indebted into my being. The fourth thing that I wanted to share was forgiving yourself. We have to forgive ourselves. Depending on the situation, there may be times where you were dead wrong. You know what I mean? But you need to forgive yourself for that situation. Or granted, it could be the opposite. And maybe you were right and the person did something really wrong to you, but you starting to blame yourself for it or beat yourself up about it. In order to really start to loosen up and to start to forgive, you have to forgive yourself. I strongly believe that you can't forgive others if you can't forgive yourself first. So it starts with you. Just keeping that in mind. It all starts with you. So whatever the heavy burden is, depending on what part you play in it, if you didn't play a part in it, but you're still beating yourself up about it, it's okay to just say, you know what? I forgive myself. It wasn't my fault. Or if it was, you know what? Let me see how I can do this a little different. Let me do some self-reflecting so that I can be a little better the next time around. And the fifth and final thing that helped me with forgiveness was love and compassion. So you got to try to have compassion in your heart. You got to try to have love in your heart. And I know it sounds crazy, but even when somebody else did something wrong to you, it's all about you. Today's quote is from Louis B. Smedes. And the quote says this: "To forgive is to set a prisoner free and discover that the prisoner was you." And it's so true. Because we are prisoner within ourselves, especially when we hold on to things that we no longer have control over. These things are having control over us. That heartache and that pain from that situation, whatever it is, from that person, whoever it is, just to forgive and to learn how to open up and have some compassion and love. Thank you so much for coming to my page today. Don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the notification bell. And if you have any questions, comments, or anything you want to say, please make sure you put a comment below.